Mr. Moderator, through you to the previous speaker in the meeting, the history of the parcel is as follows. It was originally donated to the town in 1977. After its donation, a title defect was found in it. So what the town meeting did at the time was to do a confirmatory taking of the property to cure the title defect, and that's a fairly common approach. The vote of the town meeting at the time was for general municipal purposes. Subsequent to the 1977 town meeting vote for general municipal purposes, the Board of Selectmen recorded an order of taking that was somewhat narrower in scope, and people have pointed to educational and recreational matters being put in that order of taking. So the question is, for purposes of triggering the statutes, Chapter 40, Section 15 and 15A, I think those are the operative ones, what do you look at? Do you look at the language in the deed, or do you look at the language of the town meeting vote? The answer is that you look at the language of the town meeting vote. That's what controls. And what the town meeting voted was general municipal purposes, and it's our opinion that the use of the property for this purpose, the proposed purpose, of course subject to your approval, is a general municipal purpose. And so that this action would be consistent with the action that the town meeting took back in 1977. It's the town meeting vote that controls here, not the deed.
Good evening. I'm Marcia Griswold. I'm the Director of the Council of Aging. And I'm standing before you tonight because Mr. Paulson, our fine chairman of the FinCom committee, has moved forward too fast. The only article before you right now for senior housing is to approve an opportunity to look at senior housing and to move forward only taking a look. There's nothing here that is specific to any particular development. It is strictly to look, to just go forward. This is not a night to make a decision about cost, which type, or anything else. It's merely to move this article forward. Thanks for your time.
We have to stop 40B. We just have to. It kills us. We don't need it. We don't want it. It's way too expensive. It drains our services. It doesn't pay for itself. It's a bad business for us to be suffering. We need to eradicate 40B. This project gets us very close, if not over the top, to our 10% threshold.
Now, if everybody here wants the housing, that's your choice, but I want it done fairly. And one thing that really bothers me, it's bothered me for a long time, and you have to understand, residents of Wareham, you have to understand, you will never, until they change things in Boston, up in the State House, the town of Wareham will never have a sufficient 40B housing to run the roost. They will not. I'd like to read something to you. This is the way it's done now, and not too many people know that, and it's not brought to your attention. So if you want this unit, do not look at it as a need for 40B. If you want it, that's your choice, but not for 40B. The first assumption of 40B is that once a town reaches a threshold of 10%, 40B developers can no longer force projects. Wrong. The reality is that as soon as a town begins reaching the 10% threshold, the Department of Housing and Community Development changed the rules so that 40B could still be forced on a town if there is a regional need. Rest assured, Wareham has a regional need. We're one of the poorest per capita towns in the state, so we have a regional need. The second misconception is that 40B has created tens of thousands of affordable units. Those units have an affordable life of just 20 years, then they become market rate. By 2010, 40B will have created just 1,000 affordable units in over 40 years, but will have created more than 50,000 market rate units.
Wrap it up, please.
Find out who 40B really benefits. One only needs to wonder, why would developers lobby so hard to keep this law around? Remember one thing, don't look at it as a there's a save all for 40B. It will not do that. If you want the units, then that's your choice, and everybody should do it fair and square.
I've heard several speakers here today say that this is the first bite of the apple. We need this to keep going with the process. And I just want to make sure that people understand what this motion in Article 2 is actually doing. And in Article 2, if we voted for it, we are authorizing the selectmen to lease real property for such number of years to a maximum of 99 upon terms and conditions that are acceptable to the Board of Selectmen. Ladies and gentlemen, this project does not come back to you anywhere, anytime, according to this motion. If you pass it, it's done. And you just need to know that before you actually vote. I urge you to support the amendment that's on the floor for indefinite postponement.
My name is Jeanette Santos. I live in Wareham. I want to know, how come the law states clearly over here that the deed was legally recorded and said what it was for, meant to be for? And the selectman can come and say no to a legal thing. Isn't it supposed to go to court or something? Huh? You can't just make rules and then break them yourselves. I can't understand it. I want to know how the hell this thing came on. You know, how come it's here at the town hall? It ain't fought legally. If it was meant to be for a school, municipal building, recreation, a playground, why are we coming here to vote on for housing? And how come we got a lot of housing, affordable housing? I see a lot of new people in town, old and young, and we ain't got enough for people who live in this town. That's what I want to know.
Madam Selectman.
I'm a senior citizen. I'm 75 years old.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just to address the issue on the deed, back in 1977 when it was brought to this body, the body agreed to take the property for general municipal use. If you're upset with the Board of Selectmen doing something, you should be upset with that board, because that was the board after the body took it, after the body accepted it, that Board of Selectmen put its own restrictions on it. Those deed restrictions are not what this body voted. This body voted for general municipal use.
How come?
Carl St. Pierre, 23 Carissa Road. Why are we giving away town land with no consideration from the developer for a 99-year lease wherein the development on site will be paid off in 20 years or less? What are we getting out of it? 2, how many people in the town of Wareham with the existing income level are going to qualify or have the opportunity to rent one of these units because they can afford it or they can't afford it? And 3, I think that the very first thing that we should be doing by this body is to clarify the issue of the deed. We shouldn't be moving forward and developing a piece of property until the use of that property is clarified and understood by everybody in this hall. Thank you.
FinCom member. I'm sorry, to answer the question?
The deed for this property is on your website. It has been distributed to all the developers. Everybody has commented on it. It has been used in multiple cities throughout the Commonwealth. It is generally accepted as a deed that protects the rights of a community. And yes, it's something that's important for you to understand. It's about 35 pages long. I would suggest it's something that would be done in the next phase of the project as the evaluation committee looks at the overall project and looks at what's being proposed.
Tony Scarciotti, Precinct 1. I think a question arises out of that deed when council mentioned that it's the vote. I believe, if I'm correct, it's the vote. Then why does not the deed reflect the town vote? Should it not reflect that? Shouldn't it be corrected to reflect what the town actually wanted to do?
I think that was explained, but would you like to explain it again?
I didn't get the explanation.
Would you like to explain it again?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator, through the previous speaker, I don't know why the Board of Selectmen in 1977 chose to add that language. I can guess at it. although I can't tell you as a matter of fact